concern for many Americans, and as we look ahead, questions loom about whether it could worsen under a potential second term of Donald Trump. For the past year, inflation has impacted household budgets, driven up by rising prices for essential goods like food and gas. December's data shows that consumer prices rose 2.9% from the previous year. While this figure is lower than the peak inflation of 9.1% seen in mid-2022, it marks the third consecutive month of rising inflation, signaling a challenging path ahead. Key drivers include steep price hikes in food items like eggs, which surged nearly 37% due to the avian flu, and rising gas prices, which climbed 4.4% from November to December. On top of that, car insurance costs rose 11% year-over-year. Economists like Sarah House from Wells Fargo warned that these price increases continue to strain households, even though wages have been growing. However, the gap between wage growth and rising costs remains tight, especially for the most commonly purchased goods. On a more positive note, shelter prices are showing signs of stabilization, with rent increases slowing to 4.6% year-over-year. Additionally, core inflation, which excludes volatile food and energy prices, showed its smallest increase in months at 3.2%. Despite these slight improvements, inflation is still above the Federal Reserve's target of 2%. As a result, the Fed is expected to keep interest rates higher for longer in an effort to tame inflation, though this may come with mixed effects on consumers. Now, as attention turns to the future, economists are concerned about what inflation could look like under a second Trump administration. The former president's proposed economic policies such as imposing tariffs on key trading partners like Mexico, Canada, and China could further exacerbate inflation. These tariffs would likely increase costs on everyday goods, from electronics to gasoline. Amir Sharif, economist and founder of Inflation Insights, warns that widespread tariffs would directly affect consumers, leading to higher prices across the board. Moreover, Trump's proposed immigration policies, including potential mass deportations, could also raise labor costs, adding further pressure on prices. As we move into 2025, it remains uncertain how these policies will unfold. But with the inauguration of Donald Trump on the horizon, Americans may soon begin to see the economic direction he takes. That's all for now on this developing story. Stay with us for more updates.
Good evening, I'm Marlova Manovsky, and this is Sal's US and World News. Tensions are rising between Denmark and the United States as a potential trade conflict looms over Greenland, the strategically significant territory of Denmark. Today, Denmark's Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen convened a crucial meeting with top business leaders, including Lars Fruergaard Jorgensen, the CEO of Novo Nordisk, the company behind the popular obesity drugs Wegovy and Ozempic. The meeting was sparked by recent remarks from U.S. President-elect Donald Trump, who suggested military or economic action to take control of Greenland. Trump has also threatened to impose tariffs on Danish goods if Denmark resists his offer to purchase the island. Lars Sandahl Sørensen, head of the Confederation of Danish Industry, expressed concern after the meeting, emphasizing that Danish businesses are closely monitoring the situation. The Danish government has made it clear that any action regarding Greenland's future is a decision for the Greenlandic people to make, while Prime Minister Frederiksen reaffirmed Denmark's position, noting that Greenland's sovereignty is not up for negotiation. She also addressed the potential economic consequences. Denmark is aware of the significant trade ties between the U.S. and Danish companies, with around 90,000 people employed by Danish firms in the United States. Trade Minister Morten Bødskov remained tight-lipped on the specifics of what was discussed in the meeting, but assured that Denmark would handle any potential fallout, including possible tariffs, if they come to pass. In attendance at the meeting were not only executives from Novo Nordisk, but also CEOs from prominent companies like Pandora, Lego, Carlsberg, and Vestas, all of which have substantial business operations in the United States. As this story develops, we'll keep you updated on any new developments. For now, this is Marlova Manovsky, and you're watching Sal's US and World News. Stay with us.
Good evening, I'm Jackie Pierre, and this is Sal's US and World News. Today, we take a moment to reflect on a historic and lasting bond between two nations, Haiti and Greece, rooted in their shared struggles for independence. On January 15, 1822, Haiti made a remarkable move in world history by becoming the first country to officially recognize Greece's independence from the Ottoman Empire. This act of solidarity was deeply meaningful, not only in terms of international diplomacy but also as a symbol of shared resilience and the fight for freedom. Haiti's own revolution, which began in 1791, was a transformative moment in history. Enslaved people in the French colony of Saint-Domingue rose up and, after over a decade of bloody battle, succeeded in overthrowing their French oppressors in 1804. This led to the establishment of Haiti as the first republic in the world formed by a slave uprising and the first nation to permanently abolish slavery. Today, Greece continues to honor Haiti's historic support. In 2012, when Haiti was devastated by a catastrophic earthquake, Greece was among the first to offer aid, sending funds, medical supplies, and rescue teams. Further, in 2021, Greece once again contributed to Haiti's recovery efforts following another powerful earthquake, emphasizing the enduring connection between the two nations. From the Haitian Revolution to Greece's battle for independence, these nations' shared fight for freedom continues to shape their friendship, built on mutual respect and a commitment to helping each other in times of need. That's all for now on this historical bond. I'm Jackie Pierre, and you're watching Sal's US and World News. Stay tuned for more updates.
Good evening. I'm Lorena Camacho, and this is Sal's US and World News. In a significant development, Cuba has started releasing prisoners following a deal with the United States, brokered by the Catholic Church. The deal, which saw President Joe Biden removing Cuba from the U.S. list of state sponsors of terrorism, has resulted in the release of the first group of individuals detained during the 2021 anti-government protests in Cuba. The Cuban government agreed to release 553 prisoners as part of the agreement, many of whom were involved in the widespread protests that erupted on the island, where citizens voiced their frustrations over food shortages and rising prices. On Wednesday, Cuba freed around 20 of these prisoners, marking the beginning of a larger effort to honor the terms of the deal. Among those released was 53-year-old Donata Perez Pacero, who had been sentenced to 8 years in prison for participating in the protests. In a video posted on social media, Perez Pacero expressed her belief that the Cuban government had used prisoners like her as bargaining chips to secure the country's removal from the U.S. list. She also vowed to continue fighting for Cuba's freedom. Another individual released was 23-year-old Dariel Cruz Garcia, who had been sentenced to 15 years for sedition. Cruz Garcia, speaking from his home in Havana, shared his relief at being freed but acknowledged the difficult conditions he had endured during his imprisonment. He also hinted that he would remain on parole under strict conditions, with the possibility of reincarceration if any terms were violated. However, not all families of the detained are yet to receive news about their loved ones. While the Cuban government has committed to releasing 553 people, many families are anxiously awaiting confirmation that their relatives will be included. The deal has stirred political debate in the U.S., with some members of the incoming Trump administration, including Marco Rubio and Mike Waltz, suggesting that any changes made by the Biden administration could be reversed. Despite these uncertainties, Cuba has cautiously welcomed the deal, though concerns remain about the long-term stability of the agreement. For now, the release of these prisoners marks a moment of cautious optimism for those seeking justice and freedom on the island, but the situation continues to evolve. Stay tuned for further updates. I'm Lorena Camacho, and you're watching Sal's US and World News.
This is Sal Pierre. Thank you for watching. We promise to bring headlines and detailed reports mostly as the events are happening. Please subscribe to the channel, like and share our videos. You'll be glad you did. See you at the next video.